So we're loading into the Summer Dam map. This is our newest map that we released to the alpha recently. It's the first time we're showing it publicly. It's this really cool sort of human city under siege, and we're actually fighting over this prison city that's attached to it. So when Hawk here looks up into the hills, you can kind of see a city up on a hill on fire.
Yeah, and also using the Alchemist class here, which is actually something that we did not touch upon in the when we were showing you guys like the menus and everything, because we of course wanted you guys to see this one in action. So the Alchemist is very unique in comparison to and I feel like obviously the other two classes are super unique, but
Sure.
The Alchemist in itself provides a much different experience, and you can actually see an engagement happening right now, right away. And that's not going to be good. Yeah.
So yeah, the Alchemist, the cool thing she's got going is she not only has projectile weapons, so she's got this grenade launcher she's using. She just used her firewall, so she can basically conjure this nasty wall of flame that hurts vampires pretty badly. It's a good sort of positional deterrent. You can walk off an inch your way or something like that.
Yeah. So, and what are the Alchemist's strengths though, right? Because you mentioned a firewall, but going up against a tyrant, that's not
going
good.
For the melee kill.
Already.
That was pretty cool.
That actually was pretty cool. It took 3 people to take the Alchemist down, take Huck down.
So her strength ultimately is range damage, or AoE damage, sorry.
Okay.
So the other classes are very much single target focused except for their abilities. She's constantly shooting explosives. So if the vampires group up, she can do a ton of area damage to all of them.
Okay. And now, and just, my thing about this game is the maps, while, they are very diverse in their design, it's not like you're going to be spawned out so far away that you're not going to get to the action.
Right. So humans in particular, we do some squad spawning. So we try to, it's very hard to survive on your own in this game by design. So we try to spawn you in a group with your teammates. So even if you die a little off sync with somebody, you'll spawn together as a unit.
Oh, and now we see the
kidnapped.
kidnap. That's not good. And this is going to cause a certain amount of damage there. Now, what's the range on the damage, actually, when you get kidnapped, just out of curiosity?
So the base kidnap doesn't do direct damage, but you take more and more damage the farther you fall. You can't take a one-hit kill just because we avoid those as a rule.
Okay.
But you can do maybe half to 70% of your life if you get high enough in the air. It's hard to pull off as a sentinel.
Okay. And, you have that balance between all these different classes, kind of like rock, paper, scissors. So, actually...
She's actually kind of weak against sentinels, for instance. So the other guys have these, super accurate long-range weapons. She's shooting... explosives, so it's kind of hard to hit a flying target.
Now, what was that she used there?
So that is the Healing Mist. He's swapped to a more support ability. So what he did was he traded out his Flame Wall, which is, while defensive, a damaging ability, for Healing Mist, which heals all of his teammates inside of it. So you can heal it. Oh, he just got murdered by the Sentinel.
It's got mauled, ran up on you.
So it's a pretty cool Sentinel ability called Puncture, where he actually stabs you with both of his wings and does a ton of damage.
Ooh. That does not sound like a good way to go.
But yeah, so humans, there are these resupply stations, we'll point them out in a minute, that let you get ammo and health back, but you can only use them every 2 minutes. Ooh. So having the ability to heal your whole team at once is really powerful.
Yeah, that's a pretty great ability. And now, what was that there that
was
she used?
The light bomb. So she starts with a flashbang, but you can trade that out for a more damaging bomb instead if you don't need the blind effect.
Okay.
So she was basically trying to open with some damage there.
Okay.
And actually, there's the Healing Mist again, so you can see he's healing up inside of his effect.
Yeah, and actually teammates are using it too.
Congregating to it.
Now, is that a little dangerous though, right? Because
definitely.
You have them grouping together, and that could spell doom there, especially if you let one of those tyrants get in there and ruin their day.
So a good tyrant will come charging in or jumping in the spot. We also see those healing areas are magnets for the Reaver who just killed him. Has these green choking bombs. Yeah. And a lot of times you'll see it's just a magnet for that kind of AoE.
Yeah.
Because you can basically negate the heal.
Wow. Okay, so you negate the heal and then you just end up causing damage?
Yeah. So normally...
If I threw my bomb on top of the mist.
Right, it kind of cancels out. You're taking damage and getting healed at the same time.
Okay, and now switch over to some Hunter gameplay here.
So this is our sort of...
risky.
He's a little bit more like playing a traditional shooter. He's got an automatic weapon. It's a crossbow. It looks like he's using the multi-bow, which is the burst fire model. So what he's done is, this is an unlockable, or you can purchase it. But you can trade out full auto for burst fire.
And of course, gives you a little bit more accuracy. Reaver
Right.
right in front, and that was the bola.
Yeah.
Actually, so
Yeah.
you just saw that kind of get into play there, and you see the damage on the other side of the wall. So they were able to clean up that kill.
Yep.
And that's great, right? Because now, I guess what I'm a little worried about here, looking at this from like maybe an esports perspective, for example, is are the humans like Left 4 Dead if they're by themselves, or
Don't kill.
Well, I guess I answered my own question there. Because I guess people always look at it and they're like, oh yeah, well the vampires obviously have to be like really good, but then
Right.
taking a look here at this game, humans are winning 17 to 12, so I think they're doing kind of okay.
Actually, the vampires are winning right
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry.
But
Okay.
yeah, it's a fair point, and we try to strike a balance. There's another bola. Try to strike a balance of we want humans to have to group up because it's more interesting game and they require teamwork to succeed.
Yeah.
But we never want you to feel totally powerless. So one-on-one, you always have a chance, especially if you're a really good human player.
Okay.
So it's not like Left 4 Dead where you're going to get pounced by a smoker or something and just be totally out of the fight without a teammate.
Okay.
But you
okay.
are pretty vulnerable for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I think also, if when a game goes out into the wild, right? You have these players that are just
Oh, yeah.
like so good
Ridiculously
already,
good.
and I think you said it before. It's like when it goes out there, I'm already bad at the game because
Yeah.
everyone else is these players that have so much experience, and you can see some of that accuracy there.
Yeah.
That multi bow.
So interestingly, the initial reaction is often that the vampires are overpowered or too good, and what we find is we've actually had to
Oh.
do more to correct humans being OP because as people get more and more and more accurate, the humans just get deadlier and deadlier, whereas the vampires are a little more ability driven, a little more movement driven. So
Yeah.
we're constantly looking at ways to increase the skill cap for vampires.
And while there are a lot of abilities for the humans
Mm-hmm.
for single target, I would say the vampires, they're more single target focused, but they are when you use your abilities well,
Mm-hmm.
like you can really just take over like a confrontation like we saw right there
Yeah.
where the humans ended up just getting crushed.
That's been a focus for us because they are a melee faction, but we find just spamming the melee button isn't super skillful. Like it's your bread and butter, but the strength of a good vampire player should be proper timing and aiming with your abilities. So we put a lot of their power into those.
Yeah.
We'll see those in a little bit.
And
yeah.
vampires are only going to be 2 kills away from victory here. So, in-house vampire, this team of vampires definitely, outperforming.
Yeah, it looks like we may have not assigned the teams as well as we should have. But we'll see how it goes when they trade sides, see if it's quite the same or not.
That should be pretty fun there. So about 2 minutes and 40. So now you guys. Oh, there's a flamethrower.
Yeah.
That has been the bane of my existence in the alpha so much.
He
Oh
lifted
goodness.
it there.
Yeah, he totally did. But as a Reaver, I just fear for myself. So now 14 to 30. We have a second side. I'm curious. What happens in the instance of a draw? Like what have you
Well,
planned?
so if you draw in the one round, then you obviously have the second round to settle it because it's the cumulative score that wins. We're still discussing how we want to handle full round draws. Right now, we go towards the team that achieved the score first.
Okay.
So if you get to 30 kills, the round ends immediately, and you win that round. So we basically just treat whoever reached the score first that it ends on as the winner right now.
Okay.
But, we're always looking at things. It'd be awesome to have like a sudden death sequence or something like that, but it's a little more challenging with 2 factions because it's like you have to play both in a sudden death. And
Yeah. Now we have Reaver gameplay here,
Yeah.
and again, guys, this is like one of the first times that you're probably seeing this. So a lot of you are probably going wild in the chat, or you're really just digging it. Now the Reaver is, I wouldn't say you're more traditional because I don't think it's what I would expect most people when they log into the game to select because it's something that looks a little familiar. But the skills and abilities that the Reaver have are very unique. Well,
Yeah.
why don't you break that down a little bit?
So he's very much a
We're alchemists.
skirmisher, sort of. You can see our giant glowing tyrant there, who's more of the tank class. The Reaver is more of our skirmishing DPS.
Triple
so,
kill.
Yeah, Hawk's got a triple. So what he's focusing on, his core ability is the pounce. Basically, he can charge up and leap pretty far across the level. If you played the Hunter in Left 4 Dead, you'd probably be familiar with the idea of what the ability is. And Hawk's chosen Haste, which is a sort of a movement and attack speed buff. So when he gets into close range, he can pop that and just go to town with melee attacks.
And the Q is which one again?
The
That's
Q,
the
he's
grenade.
using the poison grenade. So we treat them more as bombs than grenades because vampires using grenades is a little funky. But he's basically got this concoction that's poisonous to humans, and it's a great camping or turtle breaking ability because we don't want humans to just sit in the house and be invincible.
Yeah.
So Reavers and other classes have these things you can kind of chuck into doorways or rooftops and
Yeah.
push people out of a camp spot.
And I noticed also in my time playing, there are different variations to certain abilities, and you know, like for example, the bola, the dreaded bola. If you're a Reaver, you'll get hit with that quite a bit.
Yeah.
But you have that that time he's propped up on there, so you have different kinds of abilities. Like I know one apparently like doesn't assist you as much with being
Right.
able to leap onto a victim. You have to aim it yourself manually, right?
Yeah, so his core ability that you get when you start is called Pounce. We have a variation called Savage Pounce that does more damage, but it doesn't provide any aim assist. So you can see when he's charging it up, there's a little claw marker over people's heads. That means you have them locked on,
Okay.
and it basically will help you hit them. because-
9 times out of 10, you should
Right.
be able to hit them.
Right, and the Savage Pounce basically lets you trade out, say, I'm really good. I'm going to forego all my aim assistance, but I'll get more damage. So it rewards skill shots. So if you line up the perfect pounce from way across the map, it does significantly more damage than the base pounce does.
I can only imagine calling that action. He's gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Across the map.
It's pretty solid. The guy just got kidnapped.
That is just not cool at all.
So, he's going for it here, and he missed
man,
it.
that would have been disgusting.
One of
if
the
he
coolest
caught that.
interactions is actually grabbing a guy out of the sky. We have a couple.
So you
highlights
can
of
have that interaction, right?
Yeah.
That team
Yeah.
comp
We
almost.
don't
between
put
the two.
any limitations on that. We haven't seen that level of coordination in the alpha yet, but we assume eventually players are going to just do absurd things.
Now, what was that ability that he just busted out with the when he turned blue? That was the.
He switched to evasion, so that's what you start with as a Reaver. It's more of a defensive cooldown than haste, which he had on earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And evasion dodges all the bullets that are shot at you, and it will also break you out of any things like Bola. So it's very good for
But you can't
survival
hit.
purposes. But yeah, it turns off your attack. So the trade-off is you're basically invincible except to explosions, but you can't attack people.
which alchemists have taken
Right.
full advantage of
Right.
when I fight them. And-
Oh, exploded.
Nothing they could do there. So Psionic's very own Eric with that
Mm-hmm.
kill. So the Reaver certainly is one of the more fast. Well, it is the faster of
Yeah.
the three that are currently out right now.
Yeah.
And oh wow, I did not know you could do that.
Yeah,
Okay,
some people use it as a movement ability. So it's got a cooldown of about 12 seconds. So if you think you're going to have time between when you use it before you engage, you could use it as a sort of traversal ability and then let it recharge before you actually fight.
So if you think you're running and scaling buildings, you can actually just leap over everything.
Yep.
Which is pretty awesome. But it's obviously not as powerful as the Tyrant's Leap, for
Right,
example, because
right.
the Tyrant's Leap comes down and just crashes on everyone.
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't
Like AoE.
doesn't afford you nearly as much control with the aiming trajectory, things like that.
Okay. And it seems like gets picked off
He's
again.
going to switch
it
over to
up.
the Sentinel here,
Okay. And what is he
try
going
and
to use?
kidnap some of these alchemists.
Dive bomb. All right.
Yeah, so he's using the stock Sentinel loadout. You basically get kidnap, which we've seen from the other side. So, you can't fly from standing. You have to climb something and leap off of it to get the altitude, basically, to start flying. But once you're in flight, we don't put any restrictions on
Yeah,
it.
and I actually pretty. Oh, there's
I
that
just
dive bomb.
missed.
Missed the dive bomb, but that dive bomb's devastating though.
Yeah.
I've had it done to me quite a few times. I think I've, if anything, I've revealed that my ability in this game not that well. Oh man, and that was
Eric
going to be
again.
Eric again with another one of those. So decided, okay, dive
He's
bomb's not
mixing
going
it
to
up
work.
a little bit. He's switching to takeoff, which is a little bit more survival oriented. And what takeoff lets you do is actually, like it says, take off straight into the air.
Okay.
So what it's great at is it's an escape. So if I'm taking a ton of damage, I get bored, whatever, he'll actually rocket off the ground and cause a shockwave that damages people nearby.
And this should be a big
Yeah,
kill.
that's 600 damage right there. That's
That
pretty-
hurts.
So he's going to chase, it looks like.
And
He
he's
can-
actually.
he may have been evaded.
Yep, actually was evaded.
He'll get
I
some
think he ran
height.
to the right and he went to
Yeah.
the left. That's unfortunate. And so the skin actually that he's using